Guys, today I have a succulent rescue video. Now this succulent came from my sister's house. She was so pleased with how the orchid rescue went. She said, I have another plant that's not doing so well. Would you mind taking it? And I said, sure, I'll see what I can do. So she brought this over, and she lives about an hour away. So we met, and when she was on the highway, this tipped over and rolled around and broke. And so not only was it doing poorly on the way over, it was involved in quite a brutal ride over, and then in my car it tipped over as well. So I think maybe it's top heavy, I'm not sure, but it rolled around 2 different cars to get here, and I told her not to worry. I think it's going to be just fine. It lost all of the leaves in the car ride. It lost all of the top leaves, but I was planning on trimming it down anyway. And let's just start with this. It had sort of grown up taller, and that's what succulents do. That's just how they grow. I hope you can hear me over the air conditioner. It's going to be in the upper 90s today, so that's why I have, the air conditioner running already. But let me show you the problem with putting a succulent in a gigantic pot. This is probably 10 times too big, and the thing about the soil is it holds moisture around the roots. So the more moisture you have around the roots, the worse it is for a succulent. Other plants like to have a lot of moisture all the time around their roots, but if you collect succulents, you know that they like to really dry out in between waterings. So let's see how big this root ball really is when we take it out of this enormous pot. Okay guys, look at the size difference here. And again, my sister is well-intentioned with her plants. She does give them a lot of love, maybe even too much love. So as you can see, there's probably 2 gallons of soil around this tiny pot. And in truth, succulents have quite small roots because they hold a lot of water in their leaves, so they don't need large roots. So I'm going to reuse this dirt because it looks fresh and there's quite a bit of perlite in it. But I can feel a lot of moisture around this plant. And so I'm guessing that this plant never really dried out. And so I'm going to put it in a more appropriate size pot for a succulent. And I think this one's even too big. This is even too big, if you can see the size of the root ball and the size of the pot. So I'm going to put that one aside, and I think I'm going to go for this small pot. So let me put this out here. And I'm losing more leaves, and I may put these on top of some soil in a tray and try to start some succulent babies because I just can't resist propagating. I know a lot of you are the same way. So I'm going to pop this in. Right here. I've taken a little bit of the soil off so I can get it in. I'm tucking it in. And guys, this is all of the pot that this particular size succulent needs. So I'm going to fill in a little bit where there's gaps around the roots. Tuck that in. Then I'm going to get some scissors and do the trimming on the top, because when you trim the top of a succulent, the stem will produce more plants. That's just the way it works in nature. When things get broken off for one reason or the other, whether it's manually or just in nature, in a storm, or you never know what succulents come into contact with, slamming brakes. But I'm going to fill that all in, and I'm not going to water it. It's quite moist, guys. It does not need water right now. The best thing I can do is let it dry out a bit because it's really been exposed to too much water. again, my twin sister had the best intentions when she watered her succulent and put it in a ginormous pot. I know that's not a word, but I feel like that's pretty appropriate for the size difference here. So guys, it's already looking better. Here it is. But as you can see, we need to trim off the top. So I'm just going to go in between some leaf nodes here, and I'm going to trim it right here. I don't want to take away all the leaves because it's the leaves that give the plant some energy. So here's what I have on top, and I'm going to take those off. Just give it a little twist. And I'm going to put it on a saucer of soil, and we'll see if we can get some little succulents to propagate from these. So we may have some extra plants after this whole ordeal. This poor little plant being overplanted and then rolled around 2 different cars. So what's going to happen here is we're going to sprout some new plants on these leaves, and eventually these leaves will die off and we can just take it off, and hopefully, if all goes well, and we won't have to worry about the original plant. It will be a cluster of plants basically. And then let's go ahead and lay these on some somewhat dry soil. It's slightly damp, which is actually fine. And summertime's a good time to do this. You want it in the shade, but you do want heat. Heat is a great stimulator of succulent growth. So this is not at all wet, but I do feel that there's maybe a little bit of moisture in here. And I'm going to lay the leaves just right on top of the soil. And hopefully these little leaves will sense that they can begin anew. And look at how this is actually even a pretty little arrangement here. Here we go. So that's going to go in a shady area until I see some growth and some roots. And once I start seeing some growth on there, I'll be spraying it with water. And this one I can spray from the top with water as well, but like I said, the actual root ball feels a little moist, so I'm going to give it a few days before I water this in. But guys, I think this plant is going to do a lot better, and hopefully I can give you an update and show you some new plants. So guys, remember, don't overpot your succulents. I know you love your plants, but don't overpot succulents. And don't worry if they start to stretch out. That's just the way they grow. And if it's not something you like to look at, you can always prune it down like this and give it a refresh and a chance to generate a cluster of little plants. So I hope to give you a good update. Hopefully this plant wasn't beaten up too badly in both of our car rides. We'll have to see, but it's certainly worth a try. It's a beautiful type of succulent, and I hope this helps you if you're trying to save a succulent as well. I'll be sure to give you updates and let you know what happened to my twin sister's succulent. So thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.